Good morning. We are in Siman Reish Aleph. We're in the middle of Siv Chaf Daled, and we're discussing about Shinu Mare and different types of liquids. Can they go ahead and be mitzaref to a mikvah, or not mitzaref? So we had mentioned that the wine. We're going to see wine. Wine's going to be a problem. Um, but like colored water is considered water. But if it's like alcoholic or meperos juice, things like that, it's not doesn't possible to make the mikvah chaser, but it doesn't, nor will it be mashlim. Aval in the middle. Aval im yesh bo abayim sa. But let's say the mikvah has 40 sa. And and um, and one saw fell into the mikvah from these things. If not, be soichan sa acheres kosher, right? And if you went ahead and let's say you took out another saw, right? From the you person happened to be another saw came out. We don't say, oh, you see, this liquid is not water, so maybe the fact you took it out, you took out other water, maybe it's gonna be chaser from water, and it's not gonna be a kosher mikvah. We say no, it's still kosher. The yishbila because it gets mixed around. So we say that it's kosher. Afilu also came ad tisha asar pa'amim. Even if you did this until 19 times, a saw, a 40 saw, you took out 19 saw. One saw fell in of liquid, and then you took out another saw, and you kept on doing that for whatever. Right? Until 19 times, it's kosher. After that, it is going to be pasul because of the din of nasan saw and natal saw. Right? That at a certain point, the mikvah is going to end up being rove other liquids, and therefore it's not going to be kosher. It's not going to be kosher water, and therefore it would be problematic. It would be pasul. But if it was mayim she'uvim that fell into Rabbaim Sa, ksherim. It doesn't make a difference. It's going to be kosher. V'natal b'seichan sa, the nafal b'seichan sa. Let's say you took out and then another saw fell in. My ksherim feel also came ad oilam kosher. No matter how much you put in and how much you take out, it is going to be kosher ad oilam because my shum doesn't have that din. Now we're going to get into one of the basic yisod of how we make wine and how we make mikvos. Because there's a shach over here called Satashbitz and the Beis Yosef, who says, quotes the Rambam and the Ravid, who argue on this and say, no, it's the same din as we said before by other liquids, and it's only until 19 saw. After 19 saw, if it becomes rove of mayim she'uvim, of nasan saw and natal saw, it is going to be pasul. And as the Beis Yosef and the Shach say, the Beis Yosef themselves in Shulchan Aruch doesn't paskin like that. And the Gemara says anyway, Roiv Rishonim, don't go like the Rambam. The Rambam holds din derabanan. The Ravid holds it to din deraisa. It passes me deraisa. Roiv Rishonim, don't go like that. And there's what to be samichan. However, the Shach does say it's kedai to be machmir, and so that is the din which has been misgagel over the past a few hundred years or so to be machmir for the Ravid, as the Chazon Ish says. The Chazon Ish says he doesn't really understand the Ravid, but the Chazon Ish says that this is interesting thing. So sometimes some mitzvah, some chumras, or some shitas have their own mazel. They have some sort of mazel that suddenly that we're Mekayim that, even though we're not Mekayim many other things, but suddenly we're Mekayim that. So this is where we're going to get into. So we sent pictures out. The basic structure of modern mikvos, because the issue is a few issues. Is that what we have is we have a bor tvila. We have a bor tvila, and we have what's called a bor zriya, right? So what happens is that there's a hole here that goes into the bor tvila, and you fill. There's always chafal sa of Maim Tahirim in the Bor Zriya, and you turn. There's a faucet that goes in. It goes into the Bor Zriya, and you turn on the water. And there's a hole over here. It overflows and goes into the Bor Tvila. It's clean water. Pachas Yoser. It's clean water, and that's what they do that every night by the Mikvaos, and that's what people are. That's what people are toivel in. I mean, there's one. The Kuru discussed Zvira already. One, the Kuru the Chazanich does have, and this is not everyone goes like this, but Al Kapanim, he's choishish that you shouldn't when you pour the water into the Bor Zriya and it's pouring out the side, that it's going to be zeichlim. And he said you can't be machir a Bor Zriya, use a Bor Zriya if it's going to be zeichlim. So he says the way you fix it is if you put the pipe hole down by the bottom, then it's not going to be Zri and Zoichlin Nikeres. We'll get to these dinim later. I'm just discussing it now because these are the things that people are machmir for. Al Kopanim and the Bor Zriya, and this is the basic din of Shulchan Aruch, that you just have a Bor Zriya Chaf Al Tzah. No matter how much water you from the faucet you turn on and it goes in and it overflows into the Bor Tefillah, it's always going to be kosher. And the true of Moshe that B'diavad, that's he has a shaila about people who are just using she'uvim for a mikvah, and he's like, he can't do that. He's like, he has to masak in a second bor or bor zriya in order to use me'ayir, because people thought that the water from the city, it comes from wells, the river, all these things. It's not ma'im she'uvim, and he says it pashas it's ma'im she'uvim. He says there's a chazaka, it's ma'im she'uvim, and therefore you have to have a second bor or bor zriya as a basic halacha to go ahead into machshir mikvah. Now we're going to get into the chumrah of nasan samanatasa. Is that again, you're going to the bor zriya, now you're going to have a problem going to the ravid because it's going to be more than 19 sa of other water. So what's the eitzah that the place can say? Ramesha, others, the Chazanish, different things is that not only do you have a bor, it's a bor tefillah, you have a bor zriya, you also have a bor hashaka. We're getting to Hilchos hashaka later on, but you have a bor hashaka that even after you do a bor zriya, then they open the hole and there's hashaka between the two, and that's going to be machshir the mikvah according to the ravid. And that's where Moshe writes, and the Chazanish also seems to say that would be enough. Chazanish Be'etzim holds that just the bor zriya is enough because he doesn't understand the chumrah of the ravid, but upon him, that's the minhag. Because let's say this mikvah is puzzle, right? According to everyone, but according to the ravid, so maybe on the Rambam also. So then you do a hashaka. Hashaka is going to work now to go ahead and machshir the water in here, according to the ravid also. But there's another chash, which the Paiskim discussed, is that, wait a second, we're going to get into this, how a shakal works, does it need to be open all the time, not, does there be Yerucham, we'll get to it, later, that he holds it has to be open the whole time, not just once. It's not for now. But upon him, the problem that the Paiskim bring up is that, if you be machmir for the ravid and you do a bor hashaka and the hole's open the whole time, you have to schar b'hefseda, because now the water is going in between the bor hashaka and the bor tefillah, and again, nachamal you're going to pass the bor hashaka because you're going to have nasan sav and natal sa. So what are you marviach? And I mean, this is Shiloh's going back to the hundreds of years. So the Rashab of Babich Rebbe, I think it's the Midler Rebbe, I don't remember what they call him. One of them, the Babich Rebbe, is a Rashab, made a takana that he had a chab.
Well, the Rebbe Rashab.
Rebbe Rashab. Okay, fine. I don't know the Bhakti and all these. And forgive me, and whatever. Upon him, the Rebbe Rashab. So he had a chap, and he said, "Well, no. The way what you should do is you have the bor tefillah, And then you create, before you create a bor tefillah, you create a bor hashaka under the floor, in the floor of the bor tefillah. You create a bor hashaka of 40 sa, and you cover it, and you cover it over, and there's shveres anod in between, and that creates a chibur, and the water, and then the water, the water, there's always hashaka. There's never going to be natal because it's underneath, and therefore it's going to stay. Even according to the Ravid, it's going to be okay because the water is going to stay in the bore at the bottom. It's not, and therefore you have a bor zriya. You're going to have your bor zriya. You're going to have at the bottom. You're gonna have a second bore of mayim ksheir, and that's gonna work. And that's how all mikvos of Chabad. If you hear that the Lubavitcher mikvos or mikvos of Chabad, that's how they are all made. Bor gabi bor. Now the Achronim asked, Divrei Chaim, Moshe, Chazon Ish, they all say mechatesi. It's a nice svara, but who says the water doesn't mix? Chazon Ish is we don't use physica when it comes to making psak. Moshe says in Zerah, he says yesh bila. We say as a klal yesh bila, which is actually, I mentioned, this is actually recently discussed in Daf Yomi, about the fact that when water mixes no matter what, we assume that water mixes throughout. So therefore, just because it's on the bottom, who says that it doesn't mix from the bottom going up? So he says it's a nice chap of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, but the Rashab, but the Maisa it's not practical. So. So according to the Chazon Ish, according to the Divrei Chaim, according to the Divrei Chaim Tzanz, according to the Ramosha, the Poskim, the Chabad mikvos, it's kosher, but it's not. You don't take away the problem of the Ravid. You want to be machmer for the Ravid, which that seems to be what the Shach says you should be. It's not. That's not going to help. It doesn't. Again. It doesn't mean the woman who's tevilin is whatever. Rov Yishonim, the Gra says Rov Yishonim don't go like the Ravid, and okay, that's fine. But you want to be machmer for the Ravid. That's not that they hold. That's not the way to go. There's other chashashos that the Satmar Rebbe had in order to take care of the problem of the bor hashaka of Nasas Hamatalsa. When Moshe says that basically what you do is you open the bor hashaka for a minute and close it. We're going to get to other issues about hashaka, and that's going to be enough to machshir it and to avoid all the problems. But other places, Minchas Yitzchak and Satmar Rebbe said, well, no, maybe you'll forget, maybe this. Again, they're being machmir because they're all chashashos for tamachiyuv ikaris. It's not just regular suffix deraisa, tamachiyuv ikaris. So therefore, there's an Indian to be, as machmir as possible, but mikvos, if possible. So they said, okay, well, maybe you'll take the bor hashaka and you split it down the middle. Something similar to the Lubavitcher Rebbe's chap, but they do it in the bor hashaka. So it's not mixing in the bor tefillah. In the bor hashaka, there's another bor underneath, and they even say, well, then there's a shayla. Well, why isn't it mixed? Or they make a smaller hole. I don't know all the pratim. I don't know how Lamaisa. Lamaisa. I don't know how every single mikvah in Eretz Yisrael is made, or around the world. I don't know. Obviously, if they can be machmer akadei kach. Again, according to Ramosha and the Chazon Ish, that dividing the what's it called is not gonna. The Ramosha talks about the idea of Mikvah Yitzchak, and he's like, it doesn't really help. Because he says yesh bila, what are you going to say? It's as far. It goes for everything. And all the kunsim don't necessarily help. So akopanim the basic binyanim. So some say they have a fourth. Again, some say they have a fourth bor in order to take care of it. They have a bor zriya. Then you have your bor tvila. You have your bor zriya. You have your bor hashaka, and then they have another bor hashaka, which they open for a second, because there's another chumrah of Rabbi Yerucham holds it has to be open the whole time. So so in order to have 4, you have your bor zriya, you have your bor hashaka, which is open the whole time, and you have another bor hashaka, and that takes care of all those issues. Again, if they have enough money to go ahead and build mikvos like that, great. Often the small communities, struggle to go ahead and to build mikvos and things, kol kavod, and whatever they follow, whatever their rabbanim say, and they follow whatever the gedolim say. But that's the basic structure of mikvos nowadays, according to this, according to the shitas of the Shulchan Aruch and the Shach and the Ravid. We'll start Sif Chav Hey. Made Seva Yesh Lahem Din Mayim Livsos a Mikvah. Made Seva die. They have the din of Mayim, or like I mentioned, Coca-Cola, different things to passel a mikvah. Even though we said before that if the shloshulugim is colored, is different color, that we don't passel it. But they have a din of mayim. But a mikvah shalem, made seva, even if dye falls in, v'shinu marav lo nifsal, it does not become pulsal. So therefore, if cleaning fluid falls into the mikvah, and this happens, and these shilas happen sometimes, and they fall into the mikvah, it won't, and it turns the mikvah green or blue or I don't know what. It doesn't passel it. Kol shekain.
Who says that the cleaning fluid is the same as made seven?
Well, if it's okay, I'm not going to get into if it's a different consistency, because that's a different nekuda, and that might be a different type of liquid. But let's say it's like window cleaner. I don't know. It's usually mostly water anyway. A lot of the cleaners is mostly water. I'm not saying it's a shayla which comes up more often, which can come up that the cleaning the floors before and it falls in. Do they have to drain the mikvah? Well, they don't have to drain the mikvah. They don't want to because they don't want women to be toivel in it. That's a different thing. But
if it's something toxic, does it make it yellow?
No, chlorine. Often they put chlorine in the.
That's chemically different.
Yeah, but it's okay. There's no. It doesn't. It won't be mash. It won't be mash. It won't be again. First of all, a lot of the chlorine, all these things are watered down. Yeah, but even if it's pure chlorine, then it doesn't. It still has a din of other liquids like the temperature hichmitz, which won't mash in the mikvah, but won't passel it either. And you're talking about a lot of water, so it doesn't. Right, it's not different than alcohol, but like I said, it won't be mash in the mikvah, it won't passel the mikvah. If it's different consistency, we'll have to see about that. We'll see about that. They washed dishes in it, and it changed color. Or shashara bo samanim, or you soaked samanim, you put tea bags in. I don't know. Ochlim. Like someone made a mistake, whatever. Or listen, I've been in some mikvos, men's mikvos, smaller men's mikvos, Erev Yom Kippur, and the water is not clear anymore. The water is a little bit of an interesting color, and so you're close to Yom Kippur, al kopanim. Doesn't pass the mikvah. I used to play a joke on the first year bachrim, whatever. Like, you have to be sure you open your mouth all the way wide and be sure that it tastes the water and be sure the water gets in your mouth. Whatever. That's not whatever. Or if wine or moichel pir shamayim yotzim azeisim tchilas teinas azeisim. It's like the water, the juice that comes out of when they first press the olives, and there's a bit of shemen mixed in, and it's blackish. It's blackish liquid. Yishinu mara b'kamos shahaya nifsa, but that's different liquid. Keitzad yasa, what do you do? Im uchaser. If it's less than 40 sa, yamtin la'achiyadu geshan, and you wait for rain new rain to come in. Yismale Yachzru mar of the maramai. You wait till it fills up and it dilutes the color, and it's fine. In yeshbo, or it comes out, or the water spills out. In yeshbo abayim sa she'eno nifsal oy b'shiva. The shiva is not going to pass it. Yimale b'kosev v'yitain l'soichoi ad sheyachzru mar of the maramai. You go ahead and you fill it. You just turn the faucet on, or use buckets, and you fill it until the water till the color gets diluted enough that it looks like water. So if someone would decide they wanted to make like a interesting mikvah for women, I don't know, they could put in pink food dye and then pink make the pink mikvah pink, make the mikvah all these interesting colors, and it would be fine. But if a different type of liquid, yayin or shemen or any of these things go in and they b'shtada the color, then it's going to be, it's called shinu mare, and it's possible until you dilute it so it looks like a mikvah.
The green color should be the same.
If it's clean, yeah. If it's green, no, because there's three dinim. We mentioned, but there's yayin and like moil that comes from these are the shiva mashkim. I'm not shiva one of the shiva, but that idea that it's a separate type of mashke. It's not considered water with color. Like I said, the other one is dye, which has its own issues, and then that's called water, and then there's other types of liquids like juice and things, which which it can also. I mean, if like a whole thing of orange juice falls in. Then it could be it's also probably shinimare also, then I'm not sure. But Akopanim, they have to put more water in to dilute it. Chav vav hayubar ba'im sa nafal l'socher yayin. If there was a ba'im sa and wine fell in, and nishtanu marav shachetzioi, and half of the mikvah turned purple, it didn't mix yet. Im ein bo maramayim. Abayim sa. If there's not maramayim of abayim sa, harezel yitfel bo. Don't be. You can't be toivel in that because it's because it's not. If there is double abayim sa, which all big fellows have, whatever. There's double abayim sa and then more than the bor tefillah. Then even if one section of it is a different color, it's okay. And then you shouldn't be toivel. So you shouldn't be toivel in that part of it. But if there's a bain sa of regular water, then it won't pass through the mikveh. Just don't be toivel in that area. Chav zayin mikveh shenishtanu mara meima of machmas atzma. Again, it became old and it became old and changed colors by itself. Lo nafal bo davar harei is a kosher. Again, it's just, let's say it's in the ground or something, and eventually became dirty, and there was stories of people dug their own Mikvaos from Russia, I don't know, whatever, and the water became very brackish and gross, and al kolpanim, it's still a kosher mikvah.
The mikvah has also become news.
I don't think so. I don't think so. No. It's not, especially if it was like sulfuric water and things or whatever, hot springs and things. I don't think it worked. I don't think we're going to get to it. I don't think that the Mishnah talks about as not being good, but water itself becomes gross. That it's still be toivel.
It's not in the mikvah.